the game from Friday night, so I've gone through all the footage and stuff. You can all see the screen yet? I've gone through all the footage and we've come up with a couple of things to improve. So it was mainly looking at our ability to create and convert goal scoring opportunities. So obviously the game was 1-4-1, but we had heaps of chances and could have won even more. So this first clip is where we find a player facing forward in the middle third, but as the centre back drives in, you can see the striker here drop off. Does anybody think that that's the right decision or something else would be better? What would be better? Forward run, why? Yeah, so there's no need for this player to drop in between lines. If we really want to find a player between lines, then we can have one of the 10s. We've got a 10 here, and we've got a 10 here who could get on shoulders. Okay? So just going through there, we play the longer pass, but it's a difficult one. So again, same. We have a player facing forward middle third here, except when that ball's played, there's a lot of space between the defender who's running back towards their own goal. If you look at this player's the one about to receive the ball, but then there's a defender that's already started dropping off. So the ball goes in behind, but the defender's already there and matches the run that's being made. So in this one, I've just shown a couple of examples of when it's done really, really well at the top level. So this one, for example, they've got a similar situation where there's a player facing forward on the ball middle third, but then the striker recognises he doesn't need to receive between lines, goes in then out. So that acts as one to draw this defender forward, then changes his direction. So you can see him do that there, goes forward, then back, then they're playing them behind straight away. Okay? Then this one relates to the second clip, where there's a player running but the defender's not running. So if we want to play someone ball side, there needs to be an advantage where one player's running, one player's not. So preferably attacker running, defender not. If both are running, then we need to go to feet. So you can see here, this player gets a run on that player there, and is able to go past straight away. Okay. Next clip, we find a player between lines, which is great, except the same situation occurs where there's a lot of distance between the defensive line and the player that's trying to get in behind. So if we want to try and play in behind, we need to be at the very least on shoulders or near to being on shoulders. Otherwise, the defender will be able to match the run and protect the space. So here, this is an example of that happening. So this player here recognises that the 10 is between lines facing forward and is able to get on shoulders straight away. Okay? So he does that, cuts in, and then scores. This one here is where I'll just let it go through. So the winger is between lines, but runs across the face of the goal. And I'll stop it just there. Which is a player that we could find facing forward behind the defensive line there? So we can find this player. So instead of playing square, we can find the 9, or we can play to someone in here to bounce the 10 in. Okay? So we play across the face, but then there's a lot of distance between the defender and the player on the ball. And then with the first touch, the winger receiving goes with the momentum of the defender, and it makes it easy to defend 1v1. This is a similar situation where wingers between lines. We play a ball into the 9 that has dropped off, and then we bounce a second player in. So that's a situation that looks just like the one we just had. Okay, and you can see the whole defensive line step up as they go. Okay, so that's an example of the combination we might be able to use. So I'll let it run through again. So this one is just when Anna drops between lines as a winger. That's a potential scenario for us where we can get a fullback around involved in the play as well. And the same here, where we play the winger, except the winger here isn't a 1v1. Okay? So if the winger's going to look to cross early, it's going to be really difficult if they're marked. So potentially we could use a fullback here. You maybe can't see it because of the sign, but the fullback could overlap. We could play the 9 as a bounce, just to try and draw this player away from where the cross is going to occur from. Okay, so as we go through there, you can see we try to go around the outside, but the defender's able to match it and stops the ability for us to try and get a good crossing. Here's a similar example where the player's on the ball wide area, and we need to try and move this player out of the way. Okay, so they play bounce there, and then create space for the cross to occur. So you can see how he moves. Now I know they're very high level examples, but it's just showing how effective it is if we do it well. That's what we're going to work on tonight. This one here is really, really good. So we found a free player in behind, so exactly what we were just talking about then. But what's the defensive line doing as the cross goes in? Dropping towards their own goal. So where would the ball need to go?
In front of them, behind them.
So where in relation to the goal and the defensive line?
Like in the middle.
Yeah, right between the two. Yeah, so you whip the ball across the face of the goal. But then this one, we didn't beat the first defender, but by the time the cross actually comes in, the back four's set. So where would the space be if they're set?
The opposite way. This way.
Yeah, so it's a cutback, isn't it? So then, there'll be an example here where, so the defensive line is set, but they play a second line runner. And then another example of us on the weekend. So we have a player facing forward, middle, third. We've got the 9 high, which is great, except when we look to cross, the winger can start, instead of receiving really wide, you can't even see her in the picture, we can start to make the run across the face and then get a bit closer to the cross. Because as Anna looks to cross that, that's a long way. So when the ball goes in, the defenders have a long time to drop and protect and cover. So you see this example here, where we find a player in a wide area, but he's starting to run back towards the goal, and then they go between the back 4 and the goal and just whip the ball straight across the face. And that's it. So tonight, obviously, we're just working on creating and converting goal scoring chances. So finding a free player in behind the defensive line, finding a free player behind the defensive line that can score themselves, or finding a free player behind the defensive line that can pass to someone else to score. Okay, so we're looking at 2 aspects of that today. So that's it for the moment. So we're going to go down. Thanks, Priya.